Part 12. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 112. In the next period of time, while guarding the apartment, the Manman team began to clean up the zombies on the farm and take care of the 2 cows. The days are lived steadily and leisurely. A week later, except for a few foreign zombies that wandered over, there were almost no zombies in the resort outside the farm. As for the farm, except for the poultry base, the rest of the farm was almost completely cleaned up by the Manman team. Len Ning also made full use of the crops on the farm. If he wanted to eat any vegetables, he would use his wood-type superpower to stimulate the growth of the vegetables, and he would get fresh vegetables to eat immediately. Now everyone's food is quite good. After Zheng Gang joined, he gradually replaced Lei's mother and became the family's chef. I have to say that Zheng Gang's cooking skills are really good, and the food he cooks is almost at the level of a chef. Let everyone have something to look forward to every day. Boss, now everyone's abilities have reached the peak of the 2nd level, and we are only one step away from reaching the 3rd level. How about you take us out to practice, Zhou Tao said to Len Ning. There were no more zombies to hunt in the resort, and he felt empty since he couldn't get the crystal core. According to the boss, zombie crystal cores will be a common currency in the future. If he doesn't save more now, he may not be able to afford many things when he goes to the base. Next, the crystal core also plays a great role in his superpowers. Seeing that the day for young Master Lei to arrive was getting closer, he hoped that he could reach the 3rd level before young Master Lei arrived. The boss said that actual combat can also improve physical fitness and abilities. Going out to hunt zombies is the best way. Yes, boss, Yuan Xing also looked interested. Zheng Peng said nothing, with expectation written on his face. Miss, I'll just guard the apartment. You can go in peace. Seeing Len Ning's hesitation, Uncle Liang also said. Of course he also wants to become stronger, but it is obvious that young people like them are more capable, so it is more appropriate to give them the opportunity. Okay. I've also been a little bit depressed during this period, Len Ning finally said. Speaking of which, the Manman team has been established for a long time, but she has never had the opportunity to take all the members on a mission. Nowadays, there is no danger in the resort. Anyway, it is idle, so it is better to go out and practice your skills. The team members immediately had smiles on their faces. Go back and pack up. Let's meet in front of the pickup truck in 10 minutes and go to H-Town, Len Ning said solemnly. H-Town is a relatively prosperous town closest to the resort, with a straight line distance of only 4 kilometers. Most of the zombies that had been wandering into the resort before were from H-Town. Len Ning wanted to take the members of the Manman team to kill zombies and practice their skills, so H-Town was the best choice. First of all, there are enough zombies here, and they have a certain amount of pressure to perform tasks. Next, there are many shops in H-Town. While hunting zombies, they can also get some useful supplies back. Since you are driving a pickup truck out, you have to bring back at least a truckload of supplies to make it cost-effective. Yes, the team members responded and left to pack their bags. 10 minutes later, all team members gathered in front of the pickup truck on time. Zheng Peng drove, Len Ning got into the passenger seat, and Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing got into the cargo compartment directly. In this way, the Manman team set off towards H-Town. Boss, the green mountains and green waters outside are beautiful. Do we look like we are out for an outing? Zhou Tao couldn't help but said loudly. As a talkative person, he could no longer hold back the days when he was staying at the resort and couldn't speak louder. Thank you for the gift from Cute Muhan, Muma. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 113. It's better now. The sound of the car almost covers his loud voice, and he doesn't need to pay so much attention to what he says. Come on. The green mountains and green waters of the resort are much prettier than here, Yuan Xing said loudly. Look at you, you obviously want to take the opportunity to roar. Ha! Don't you want to? Zhou Tao immediately retorted angrily. Len Ning and Zheng Peng in the car were already laughing. This period of time was quite depressing. Then, Len Ning also moved. She actually stood up and stuck her head out of the car window. Author, please do not do this. Brother, I miss you, then he shouted loudly. This voice shocked everyone. Boss, he is indeed their boss. Clearing one's throat is so extraordinary. Ah, I want to become stronger. I want to go to the 3rd level. I want to prove myself. The barbarian team is invincible. With Len Ning's voice, Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing in the back compartment suddenly let go and howled loudly. Zheng Peng was the calmest and just drove the car with a smile. But they had the same thoughts as Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing. At this time, the Manman team was located among the mountains. In the entire extremely quiet world, their voices echoed in the valley, seeming to add a bit of vitality to the entire world. The surrounding zombies heard the sound, stopped one after another, and then quickly moved in the direction of the sound. Unfortunately, the pickup truck was traveling very fast, and they were destined to be unable to catch up. Finally, having vented their frustration, Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing laughed and hummed. When they approached H-Town, the two of them shut up. Concentrate and prepare for the coming battle. The pickup truck stopped on the main road in the town. Len Ning waved his hand, and the Manman team immediately headed towards the town. Since the noise made by the pickup truck had attracted a lot of zombies, the group only took a dozen steps before encountering a small wave of zombies. Len Ning raised the corner of his mouth and immediately released Xiaoman, harvesting a dozen crystal nuclei in just a few clicks. Boss, you're cheating too much with Xiaoman. Can you give us some room to play? After getting rid of a zombie, Zhou Tao said to Len Ning with a slight grievance. Given the boss's level of perversion, the three of them together might not be able to get as many crystal nuclei as she alone. No, the eldest brother will be back soon, and she hasn't saved enough purple crystal cores to give him as a greeting gift. It's not that she doesn't work hard, it's that purple crystal nuclei are the rarest type of crystal nucleus, and the probability of encountering them is much lower than other colors of crystal nuclei. Although the transparent crystal core can also have an effect on people with lightning powers, the effectiveness is generally inferior. She wants the best for her eldest brother. The three of you go check out the store and see if you can find any valuable supplies, Len Ning continued. Zhou Tao's face showed a bitter look. The boss not only wants to compete with them for crystal cores, but also wants to take care of them all himself. Yes, Zheng Peng said first. Yuan Xing patted Zhou Tao on the shoulder and motioned for him to do as he was told. Okay. But boss, you have to give me some red crystal cores afterwards, then he said reluctantly. There's so much nonsense, hurry up. Len Ning did not answer directly, but the smile on her face showed that she agreed. Zhou Tao finally had a smile on his face, and then went into a shop facing the street. Len Ning stood vigilantly on the street, ready to strangle any zombies that appeared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 114. Boss, there's something good. Suddenly, Zheng Peng's voice came from a store. Len Ning hurried forward. Boss, there are 2 gas tanks in this restaurant. I looked and they are still usable. Let's move back. I heard from my eldest brother that there was only 1 gas tank left in the apartment, and my wife was worried about cooking. How lucky that they encountered the gas tank so quickly. Move it out and put it at the door. You can drive out and take it away later, Len Ning said immediately. There was also joy on his face. Her mother had specifically told her about this when she went out, so she could go back and do business. Yes, Zhang Peng immediately turned around and entered the restaurant. "Boss, I have food here," Yuan Xing's voice followed. Len Ning just turned around and saw Yuan Xing running out excitedly. "Boss, there is a lot of stuff left in this roasted seed shop, about 1 to 200 kilograms, Yuan Xing said excitedly. "Pack it up," Len Ning said. At this time Zhou Tao also came out. Looking at Len Ning's questioning expression, he patted both of his thighs angrily, with a look of helplessness on his face. They all found supplies, but he found nothing. "Search all the stores in this row," Len Ning continued. "Okay," Zhou Tao quickly cheered up and went into the next store. An hour later, after a lot of hard work by the Manman team, they finally finished searching a long row of shops facing the street. In addition to the gas tanks that Zhang Peng found earlier and the roasted seeds and nuts that Yuan Xing found, there were only some available supplies from a convenience store. It's been so long since the end of the world, and most of the stores have traces of break-ins. We're not the first group of people to come. It's good to be able to get these supplies, Len Ningchong said, a little frustrated. "It's okay. This H-town is not a small place, and there are many shops with supplies. Let's look for it again." Zhang Peng's face lit up again. "Well, Zhang Peng, you live nearby and are most familiar with the situation here. Let's see where the supplies are most likely to be." Len Ning looked at Zhang Peng. They had checked at least 100 stores just now, but they didn't find many useful supplies. They had to improve their efficiency. Zhou Tao and Yuan Xing also looked at Zhang Peng. Zhang Peng was stunned. After thinking for a while, he continued, "Go up from the front and walk back about 200 meters, which is the largest commercial complex in H-town. There are large supermarkets on the first and negative floors, clothes sellers on the second floor, and restaurants on the third and fourth floors. The top floor is a cinema. There are a lot of goods in the supermarket. Even if some are moved, there should be some left over." "Okay, let's go to the supermarket," Len Ning immediately made up his mind. "Let's pick up the car first and bring these things with us." Zhang Peng looked at the supplies beside him and continued, "The second floor below the supermarket is a garage. We can drive the car there." "Okay," Len Ning agreed. Although they have never encountered any survivors, the supplies they finally found were left on the roadside. If someone takes them after they leave, they will suffer a big loss. Also, the pickup truck is one of their most valuable possessions right now. If they were taken advantage of, let alone the damage to the car, just the way back to the resort, would they be able to walk back on 2 legs? So, whether it's supplies or cars, they all have to go together. Then the group took action. We returned to the drop-off location and drove all the way to carry all the supplies to the car. Then he drove all the way to the commercial complex. After parking the car, the zombie army also arrived. A large area of darkness almost robbed the already dark underground garage of light. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kge Now. Chapter 115. Len Ning asked Zhou Tao to release the firepower lighting, and started the mass killing mode with Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng. After killing for almost 15 minutes, there were finally no more zombies coming. But at this time, the ground was already covered with corpses. "Zhou Tao, you stay here to clean up the scene and guard this place. Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng, you too, I will go up to find supplies," Len Ning said in a deep voice. "Why me again?" "Boss, you are partial." Zhou Tao was reluctant. The time he burned the corpse before, he was also the one who did the dirtiest and most tiring work. As a result, he felt a little uncomfortable eating during those days. Now it was his turn to move the corpse again. "Do you have any objections?" Len Ning's face darkened, showing no signs of negotiation. Zhou Tao wanted to argue, but didn't speak. "Okay, this place is dark, your firepower will come in handy." The car is the result of our hard work for a long time. The boss gives you this task because he values you. Yuan Xing patted Zhou Tao on the shoulder. Zhou Tao glanced at Len Ning, his expression softened a lot this time. I'll give you more crystal cores when I go back, Len Ning said, but in the end he couldn't hold back his cold face. Yes. Boss. Zhou Tao didn't look reluctant now, his face was full of excitement. Len Ning's expression froze, he was careless. Glancing at Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng who were snickering, Len Ning's face turned cold again. Let's go. After saying that, he walked ahead. The two hurriedly followed. The stairs are narrow and dark with poor visibility. Without Zhou Tao here, Len Ning had no choice but to take a flashlight from his small backpack and use it for lighting. After killing 2 zombies, the 3 of them successfully arrived at an entrance to the supermarket on the first floor. I'll do it, Yuan Xing volunteered as he looked at the closed door. This kind of pop-up door cannot be pried from the outside. If there is no key, it can only be lifted and destroyed with brute force from below. As the only power user in the team, this was his fault. Len Ning and Zhang Peng immediately stepped aside. Yuan Xing cupped his hands and squeezed, then twisted his neck to stretch his muscles, and then squatted down. Both hands reached along the bottom of the bullet door, and then locked the end of the bullet door. Yuan Xing took a breath and began to exert force. Yuan Xing groaned. Boom! With a sound, the bullet door was forcibly pulled up. The huge sound was particularly harsh in the silent corridor, making the 3 of them tremble at the same time. Let's go, Len Ning calmed down and said in a deep voice. Cydia has been without power for a long time, and now the emergency lights in this building are not working. There is no lighting on the first floor below. Except for the flashlights in the hands of the 3 of them, the entire first floor is dark. The impact of darkness on humans is far greater than that on zombies, and they must remain on high alert and be more cautious. When the 3 of them entered the supermarket on the first floor, a smell of corruption immediately hit their faces. Scanning around with a flashlight, apart from the zombies rushing towards them, there were only rotten vegetables, fruits, and meat on the shelves. It seems that the first floor below is where the supermarket sells fresh goods before the apocalypse. Get it? Len Ning threw the flashlight directly to Zhang Peng. Then he waved Xiaoman and faced the zombies coming towards them. Zhang Peng and Yuan Xing did not dare to slack off and used 3 flashlights to illuminate Len Ning. They themselves were attacked by zombies, and they only killed the zombies approaching them while maintaining stable lighting. Boss, Yuan Xing suddenly shouted. The noise caused by opening the door just now was too great, and there were actually zombies coming down from upstairs. If they let their hands and feet go to kill zombies, they would not be able to provide stable lighting to the boss. Thank you Yulu Yuxun baby for the gift. Compare your heart. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 116. Len Ning turned around and saw the zombies swarming at the door, so he quickly retreated. Then they quickly cleared away the zombies around Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng. At this time, the zombies directly in front of her also rushed over. Together with the zombies who came down from upstairs, they surrounded them. Xiaoman, Len Ning calmed down and shouted. Then Xiaoman quickly grew more vines, and 7 or 8 vines started working at the same time, starting to strangle the zombies that besieged them. The little man in Len Ning's hand seemed to have turned into a monster, and the flying vines flexibly and quickly chased the approaching zombie heads. Every time, he can accurately penetrate into the eyebrows of the zombies, and then quickly take out the crystal core. After about 5 minutes, a large number of zombies were finally slaughtered, and the zombie corpses were piled high on the ground nearby. Large beads of sweat appeared on Len Ning's face. Len Ning took out a handful of colorless crystal nuclei from his pocket and quickly absorbed them to replenish his mental strength. At the same time, he took out a piece of chocolate from his backpack, unpacked it, threw it into his mouth and started chewing it. Seeing their boss's appearance, Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng were a little worried. Boss. Len Ning raised his hand to stop Yuan Xing's words. Just take your time, let's go up to the first floor and have a look. Then he looked into the dark supermarket. Everything on the first floor is rotten, and it is difficult to find any useful supplies. I can only try my luck on the first floor. Okay, Yuan Xing nodded heavily. Then, the three of them each climbed over the pile of corpses with flashlights and continued to move forward. Boss, do you want some water? Zhang Peng asked worriedly when he saw beads of sweat forming on Len Ning's forehead again. Len Ning took the water bottle directly and drank it in big gulps. When the bottle was returned to Zhang Peng, it was already empty. Go search the first floor. If we find some supplies, we will retreat, Len Ning said as he walked. She really didn't expect so many zombies to be gathered in this commercial complex. Apparently, these people should have come to seek refuge before. I just didn't expect that the evacuation was unsuccessful and that I lost my life instead. Okay, Yuan Xing said immediately. The boss is obviously suffering from excessive mental energy loss. If he continues, he may soon lose his combat effectiveness. Without the boss, it would be difficult for the three of them to support themselves. The three of them shuttled around the first floor where corpses were scattered and the stench was overwhelming. After a lot of effort, they finally found their way up to the first floor. But the intersection was artificially blocked. Now Len Ning suddenly understood why there were so many zombies on the first floor. It seems that not all of these zombies were on the first floor before. Many of them were even expelled by people on the first floor. Boss, obviously, Yuan Xing also saw the clues. Try it, Len Ning said to Yuan Xing. If there were survivors on the first floor, it would be difficult for them to break through from here. But it's been so long since the apocalypse, are the survivors on the first floor still there? Yes, Yuan Xing immediately obeyed. Yuan Xing's movements were very gentle, trying not to make any noise. I pushed the blocker a few times and found it didn't work. Len Ning nodded to Yuan Xing. Only then did Yuan Xing get up. Then he gathered his strength and pushed forward. After several consecutive exertions, there was a boom and the barrier was finally overturned. The noise made was not small, but it was far less loud than the noise made by breaking the bullet door before. The three of them stepped on the obstacles and finally climbed into the first floor of the supermarket. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 117. The situation on the first floor is much better than the first floor below. Not only were there a lot of supplies, but the light from outside also shone in. Boss, there are so many supplies. Zhang Peng's face was filled with surprise when he saw the various goods on the shelves. Yuan Xing couldn't help but headed straight for a cargo. There are a lot of drinks, he said and simply took a bottle, unscrewed the cap and drank. Snacks, dry goods. There are so many. Boss, we have distributed them. Zhang Peng quickly walked to the bulk food area. Looking at everything in front of him, Len Ning also had a smile on his face. It's a pity that we only drove one car out, Len Ning said with a smile. Then we walked to the grain and oil area. Looking at the various grain and oil products, Len Ning felt very happy. By moving the oil and grain back, they won't have to worry about food in a short time. After all, there are 7 mouths in the house, and most of them are big eaters, so they consume food very quickly. The discovery of so many supplies this time not only solved their own food problem. When the elder brother arrives, he can still give him some help. Boss, where do we start moving? Zhang Peng said excitedly to Len Ning while carrying a few pieces of packaged bacon. Yuan Xing also looked at Len Ning with a smile on his face. Len Ning was just about to reply. Be careful. His expression suddenly changed and he shouted at Yuan Xing. Yuan Xing saw Len Ning's expression and instantly realized something was wrong. Pull out the dagger and look back. It was a man with a knife in his hand, ready to attack him. Yuan Xing knocked the knife out of the other person's hand in 2 strokes, and kicked him to the ground again. Then he stepped on the man's back. The man was trampled in pain and screamed repeatedly, begging Yuan Xing for his life. But, Yuan Xing spat at the other party angrily. If the boss hadn't reminded him in time just now, he would have been maimed by this guy even if he didn't die. I was so careless. I was so dazzled by the supplies that I forgot to pay attention to the surrounding situation. Spare your life, spare your life. I'm a human. I'm not a zombie, the man cried. Human? How do you look like a human being? You still want to plot against me? Yuan Xing was so angry that he started swearing. At the same time, the strength under my feet was also stronger. Spare my life, it hurts. Seeing the cowardly look of the man, Yuan Xing became even more angry, and was about to hit him more harshly to reduce some of his anger. But he saw Len Ning coming over and gave him a look. Only then did Yuan Xing stop violence against the man. Who are you? Why did you attack us? Len Ning asked in a deep voice when he walked up to the man. Seeing that Len Ning was the leader of the 3, the man looked at Len Ning in awe and spoke tremblingly. My name is Huang Anshan, and I am the security guard of the supermarket. I didn't know you were human, so Huang Anshan explained. Zheng Peng and Yuan Xing smiled at the same time. Didn't know they were human? Think they are stupid? The corner of Len Ning's mouth raised into a sneer. Really do not know. Huang Anshan's eyes flashed with dodge, and his eyes unconsciously glanced in one direction. How could he not know that he heard them talking just now? But how many accomplices are there? Before Huang Anshan could answer, Len Ning had already looked in the direction where Huang Anshan had glanced just now. Huang Anshan's heart trembled. No, it's just me, he said quickly. Len Ning gave Yuan Xing a look. Yuan Xing immediately lifted his feet from Huang Anshan. Then he grabbed Huang Anshan's clothes on the back and lifted him up. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kge Now. Chapter 118. Let your accomplices come out, Len Ning said solemnly. I'm really the only one, Huang Anshan said with a flustered face and fear. Len Ning's eyes turned cold. I still suggest you be more sensible than he said calmly, you only have time to count to 5. Looking at Huang Anshan's panicked face, Len Ning began to count down. 5. 4. 3. Len Ning's eyes gradually became cruel, and he looked up at Yuan Xing. Yuan Xing immediately carried Huang Anshan and dragged him to the transparent window not far away. 2. At the same time, Len Ning's counting voice continued. If you don't tell me, I'll throw you out of here. Those zombies outside are eager to eat something fresh, Yuan Xing said ferociously. He was very strong and directly pressed Huang Anshan's head against the transparent glass. Many zombies outside noticed the situation here and immediately came over greedily. Huang Anshan's pupils widened and his whole body trembled like chaff. 1. After 2 seconds, Len Ning finally counted the last number. Yuan Xing immediately lifted Huang Anshan up and tried to throw him out. I said, Huang Anshan said quickly. Yuan Xing curled his lips and threw the limp Huang Anshan to the ground. How many people are there and where are they? Len Ning stepped forward and asked in a low voice. This supermarket is huge, and it would be troublesome to blindly find someone. You know, in this apocalyptic world, people are often scarier than zombies. Add me, there are a total of 23 people, in the staff rest area. Huang Anshan said with a bit of emotion, sobbing. Who are they? Len Ning asked next. If you look at this man's attack on Yuan Xing just now, you will know that he is not a kind person. There are also those zombies on the first floor. I don't know how many people were trapped by him. 23 people, a lot of people. Yes, there are 2 like me, who were the security guards here before. The rest, Huang Anshun said with fear in his heart. Who are the rest? Len Ning asked displeasedly. Yes, it's a gangster in the town. Huang Anshun's heart trembled and he finally said. I was forced by them. I don't want to kill anyone, please let me go. Huang Anshun got up and wanted to step forward and hug Len Ning's feet. However, Yuan Xing kicked him away in time, preventing him from touching Len Ning. Were those people on the first floor driven down by you? Len Ning then asked. Although it was a question, it was in a declarative tone. Huang Anshun felt panic on his face. They did it? Not me. They said the supplies in the supermarket were limited and they couldn't feed so many people. They locked up the survivors who hid on the first floor below. I persuaded them that it has nothing to do with me, Huang Anshun, he said quickly. A trace of cruelty flashed in Len Ning's eyes. Xiaoman quickly shot out a vine from his hand and plunged directly into Huang Anshun's eyebrows. Huang Anshun's eyes widened and he fell down before he could scream. Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng were shocked at the same time. This was the first time they saw their boss kill someone with their own eyes. Although Huang Anshun really deserves to die, he is still a human being after all. Len Ning raised his eyes and looked at Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng. The remaining 22 people must be dealt with, he then said coldly. Yes, Yuan Xing was the first to come to his senses. Those people are heinous and deserve to die. It's the end of the world, and the legal system no longer exists. They cannot wait for the law to punish these evildoers. So why not let yourself be the enforcer? After thinking about it this way, Yuan Xing quickly figured it out. Len Ning then looked at Zhang Peng. Zhang Peng looked struggling, unable to react for a moment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Qi Now. Chapter 119. If you don't want to participate, just stay here and don't let the zombies in. Len Ning sighed. She can understand Zhang Peng's thoughts. Time was tight now, and she didn't want to force him. I'll go, Zhang Peng suddenly said. Len Ning was stunned. Boss, I'll go with you, Zhang Peng looked at Len Ning firmly. Len Ning nodded, okay. Naturally, she would like to see the team members grow up early. They made a lot of noise when they dealt with Huang Anshun just now, and now they may have aroused the vigilance of those people. More people means more power. Let's go, boss, Yuan Xing said first. Yeah, Len Ning said and took action. Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng quickly followed. After walking for a long time through rows of shelves, the 3 of them finally saw the words Employee Rest Area. The place was inconspicuous, and the door was ajar. There were 2 people sitting at the door, playing cards. Len Ning looked back at Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng, signaling them to get ready. Yuan Xing and Zhang Peng immediately took out the dagger, and then took off the dagger sheath. Len Ning was just about to take action when he suddenly felt something strange. The sense of crisis made her move instantly, and at the same time she pushed away Yuan Xing, who was closest to her. I saw that a crater had been blown out of the place where they were hiding just now. Hey, little girl, you're not bad at alertness. At this time, a feminine-looking man came out. Behind him were 3 men dressed in black. Len Ning's eyes seemed to be stabbed in pain, and the blood in his chest began to surge. It turned out to be him, Huo Xiao. In her previous life, it was this man who, together with Han Yu, deceived her into going to the Southern Army base. Broken her wings, snatched her supplies, and threw her from the clouds into hell. She really didn't expect that she would meet him so early in this life. Seeing Len Ning staring at him with hatred on his face, Huo Xiao was a little confused. Touching his face, he wondered if there was something dirty on his face. Huo Xiao felt relieved when he didn't touch anything on his face. What? Did you know my brother before? Huo Xiao asked Len Ning frivolously. This girl is hot enough, and her appearance is his type. Have you followed him before? He has played with too many women before, so it is normal for him to be unable to remember them. But if you can't remember something with this level of appearance, you shouldn't. Gee, looking at his age, he is only 16 or 17 years old. He rarely touches girls of this age. Len Ning stared at Huo Xiao like a wolf, wanting to pounce on him immediately and tear him to pieces. He was also so glib in his previous life. Only with his deliberate efforts to please and entanglement, and with Han Yu's encouragement, did she agree to his advances. Now that I think about it, she is absolutely ridiculous. At that time, the elder brother investigated Huo Xiao's background. I learned that he was born in a lower class and dropped out of high school before graduating to join the underworld. Unlike his appearance, he is cunning and cruel, and will do whatever it takes to achieve his goals. The eldest brother had stopped her from being with Huo Xiao at that time. But at that time, she seemed to be possessed. She felt that Huo Xiao and she were the same kind of people. They both had no parents, so they cherished each other even more. She also ran away from home for Huo Xiao, leaving the Thunder base privately and going to the Southern Army base. So much so that it later became a pawn for him and Han Yu to threaten their elder brother. Thinking of this, she really wanted to slap herself twice. At this time, many people in black clothes came out of the employee rest area, surrounding Len Ning and the other three. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Ki Now. Chapter 120. Each of these people looks fierce and looks very difficult to mess with. Len Ning recognized several familiar faces inside. In the previous life, several of these people were Huo Xiao's confidants. They were very powerful and ruthless. Len Ning quickly forced herself to calm down. If they were dealing with just a dozen ordinary people, it wouldn't be difficult at all. But if these people are all superpowers, they may not be able to get a good deal. What's more, Huo Xiao himself is a lightning power user. Based on how he released the power of thunder and lightning just now, the level of his supernatural power may have reached the second level. I didn't know this was your territory. Sorry to bother you. Let us go as a personal favor, Len Ning said in a deep voice. Huo Xiao is extremely difficult to deal with. It will be difficult for them to escape today. Len Ning thought, holding Xiaoman tightly in his hand, ready to take action at any time. Haha, it turns out he's not mute. It made my brother worried, Huo Xiao smiled wildly. Brother doesn't like being remembered as a favor. If you stay with me, these two people will let you go for your sake. Do you think that's okay? Huo Xiao looked at Len Ning and said jokingly. There was no lust in the eyes, but there was evil intention. Yuan Xing immediately stood in front of Len Ning, showed his dagger, and looked at Huo Xiao in warning. Zhang Peng also guarded Len Ning and looked at the people surrounding them warily. Huo Xiao narrowed his eyes and looked at Yuan Xing very unhappy. It's really an eyesore. Len Ning saw Huo Xiao's expression, pushed Yuan Xing away, and reappeared opposite Huo Xiao. Huo Xiao is an unstable person. Once he takes action, the opponent will either die or be maimed. They can't fight these people head-on at this time. I'll fight you. If I win, let us go, Len Ning said directly. The scene was quiet. Ha 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 ha. Then Huo Xiao laughed. Then his men laughed too. Fight with their boss. This little girl really doesn't know how high the sky is and how high it is. Who is their boss? After the apocalypse, their boss awakened the thunder power and became stronger. Not to mention such a little girl, even a dozen strong men like them are no match for the boss. Why are you laughing? Is it possible that you don't dare? Len Ning asked sarcastically. Someone among Huo Xiao's men immediately moved. This little girl wants to die. But was stopped by Huo Xiao. After all, it's the woman that I've fallen in love with. She's a bit brave. Huo Xiao looked at Len Ning with interest. Sure. I will compete with you. However, if you lose, you have to keep the woman who is my brother. Huo Xiao laughed. A group of his men immediately started to cheer. Yuan Xing was about to scold Huo Xiao, but was stopped by Len Ning. Seeing Len Ning signaling him not to act rashly, Yuan Xing could only endure the discomfort in his heart. Okay, Len Ning said solemnly. Let your people and mine move away, Len Ning continued. An evil smile appeared on Huo Xiao's lips. Get out of the way. Then he said to his men in a deep voice. The people in black dispersed immediately. You go and wait aside. Len Ning also turned around and said to Zhang Peng and Yuan Xing. Boss Zhang Peng's face was full of worry. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Qi Now. Chapter 121. Don't worry. I won't do anything I'm not sure about, Len Ning whispered to the two of them. With Len Ning's words and their confidence in Len Ning, they felt a lot more at ease. Finally retreated. Len Ning held Xiaoman in his hand and looked at Huo Xiao. Hey, little girl. Is this stick your weapon? Huo Xiao asked with a smile. I didn't feel that Len Ning posed any threat to me at all. Why don't you call me brother and I'll give you my weapon? Huo Xiao took out a military thorn from his waist and shook it at Len Ning. Len Ning recognized this weapon. In her previous life, she asked Huo Xiao for it, but he didn't give it to her. Later, I saw it in Han Yu's hands. That's enough to deal with you, Len Ning said in a deep voice, and then walked towards Huo Xiao. Huo Xiao waited with ease. But when he saw the sharp vines rushing towards his door, he immediately realized that the situation was not good and quickly ducked to avoid the attack. But as soon as he avoided it, vines came one after another. Immediately, Huo Xiao began to chop the vines, attacking him with military thorns. In just a moment, many chopped vines fell on the ground. But the vines could regenerate and were still attacking him, getting faster and faster and with more and more force. Huo Xiao finally did not dare to look down on Len Ning anymore and began to use his thunder powers to fight back. When Huo Xiao's men around him saw this, they quickly retreated away, fearing that they would be hurt by Huo Xiao's thunder power. The thunder system is indeed the most domineering power. Although Huo Xiao's current power level is only level 2, he is already very powerful. But Len Ning is not someone to be trifled with. After this period of training, her skills have already returned to the level of her previous life. In addition, her current power level has reached the mid-level 3rd level, and Huo Xiao can't touch her at all. Instead, she attacked Huo Xiao when she saw the opportunity. After several rounds, Huo Xiao had been injured in several places, and his clothes were torn by Xiaoman's vines. Huo Xiao was not convinced at first and even fought Len Ning with all his strength. But the defeats along the way forced him to admit defeat. Okay, stop. Huo Xiao quickly waved his hand after finding the opportunity to move away. At the same time, Xiaoman's 3 sharp vines also stopped an inch in front of Huo Xiao's hand. The 3 vines looked straight at Huo Xiao as if they were alive, making everyone at the scene hold their breath for a second. Looking at Len Ning, who was looking at him with murderous intent, Huo Xiao couldn't help but feel a sense of fear in his heart. It was obviously the first time he met this woman, but why did she act like she had killed her whole family? Fortunately, she was the one who led people into his territory today, and there were 2 burdensome people following her. Otherwise, she might really kill herself. Thinking of this, Huo Xiao's heart sank. He likes such a fierce and beautiful woman. Seeing Huo Xiao smiling at him, and it was a frivolous smile, a cold flash flashed in Len Ning's eyes. Forcibly suppressing the hatred in his heart, he still took Xiaoman back. Huo Xiao saw Len Ning controlling Xiaoman again, and a flash of appreciation flashed in his eyes. "What is this in your hand? Sell it to me." Huo Xiao looked at Xiaoman in Len Ning's hand greedily and said directly. Len Ning curled his lips and threw Xiaoman to Huo Xiao. But as soon as Xiaoman flew into the air, he automatically turned back and returned to Len Ning's hands. It suddenly transformed into a vine and wrapped around Len Ning's arm, as if he was afraid that his master would throw it away.